Hello, my wonderful being of love and light, and welcome back to one of my videos. Today, we're gonna talk about how to go from the experiencer to the awareness beyond the I, absolute infinity, or self-realization with upper S. But before we get into the graphics and into the explanation, I want to share with you a little bit of my day, because I think it's pretty interesting not only to teach you but to share with you how am I experiencing all these things and the states of being that I'm sharing with you for you to allow those realization and those delicious non-beingness and so many more things. It was pretty hard to stand up from where I was. I was outside in my chair, just like this for 3 hours maybe, and just feeling the swirling of the energy. And I've been practicing more and more the sexual transmutation, the meditation I just did, which is amazing. So the more I anchor that sexual energy on my body, the more my kundalini rises. So my whole, it's like if I'm getting a massage from the one here in the back of my head, but now it's even more intense. So I'm talking here to you and I'm like there, half here, and after 3 hours of just complete blissed out, just like this in a chair and non-thinking, and whenever I had thoughts, I was about this, about how I was gonna share this and transmute all these energies into an explanation. So yes, experiencing higher states of being. And that's possible for all of you if you desire it, and if you want to let go of any remaining distortions and illusions that haven't been able to let you see that you are your higher self with upper S. So, who is the experiencer? Let's start from the beginning. The experiencer is this little guy here, or girl. It can be a girl with green hair. The experiencer is the pain body, the pleasure body, or just your physical body. Why we'll go from this one? Because it's important to recognize the first state of awareness, the first state of consciousness. Actually, I think it's better like this. Yes. Your first state of awareness and consciousness, which is your identification with your body, with your I. But not with your I amness that we're going to get to in the all that is type of consciousness, but when it's a lot about I feel pain and then it's me, it's my body, or I feel pleasure and then it's me, my body. In actuality, it's not the body that it's experiencing the pain and the pleasure. It is the observer releasing any distortions in order for the witness and the all that is and the awareness beyond the I to come forward with that delicious ecstatic energy of pleasure or of bliss or realization, like the one I was experiencing outside a few minutes ago. But how you get from this state of relating with your body to higher states of non-beingness into absolute infinity void, which that's why here I don't draw a symbol for it, because when I think about the absolute, or the point of awareness that is beyond even all that is, beyond the I am God consciousness, and then you just walk a little bit past that black line, the black line that separates everything, all the galaxies and all creation, from that void, nothingness. I only see it as blank, completely white. Everybody can have their own symbols for it, but for me it's just a complete whiteness of infinite peace and resting awareness. And it's just there is no fear, there is no distortion, there is no illusion, there is nothing to do, nothing to be, nowhere to go, just a realization that you created everything, you are everything, you are nothingness. So when you come back, and that's why I want to get into all these states, because a lot of my students ask me, so how do I get to that point of realization and not feel the fear of death or the fear of losing complete identity with my body? You were never your body. So even with you thinking that you have an identity through your body, then you are creating the experience by being nothingness, being all that is, of you having an identity to your body, with your body, and then you create a limited type of hologram reality for your experience, which is fine because everything is in perfect divine order, and you are learning the lessons you need to learn depending on the level of awareness you are and how much you wish and desire to transcend, and if you want to reach self-realization in this lifetime or maybe in 20 lifetimes. It depends on your devotion and your desire. But going back to that, wow. Just feels so good. Going back to that, fear of death, fear of identity with the I. When you're here, and we're gonna go back from the beginning, but let's talk about here, the identification with the I amness and I am God consciousness. I created the world, I created this experience. I even created my experience of lack. If I am experiencing lack, that means that I am all that is. I am God consciousness, creating a reality hologram of not being good enough, not having enough, a reality of fear, a reality of what am I gonna do, and if I don't do this, what's gonna happen next, then I will die, etc. And then fear, contraction, right? So even having that reality, go back into the realization that who is creating that? It's not your body, it's not your mind, it's not the observer, it's not the witness, it's the I am consciousness, because that's the only way you're able to be a creator. That's the only way you were able to divide yourself into infinite aspects of yourself, to have different experiences. Because wouldn't it be just boring to be at the beach the whole time? When you're at the beach for a whole year, maybe you want to experience the snow. So you are God consciousness, you're the one particle of all creation that got bored of just being there, experiencing infinite peace, and wanted to come here and play and expand and grow and identify and learn and remember how to love itself through interactions with other beings, including me, now that I'm projected into your hologram. So with that point of awareness, and now I see that I'm taking it from here to here, but we'll probably bounce back. When you are there, there's nothing to fear, because losing identification with the I amness actually liberates you, frees you, because it's not that you're gonna lose complete rationality and then you're gonna come back and you're not gonna be able to identify yourself with other beings. To the contrary, you're gonna come back with even more logic, with more clarity, with more awareness of what you really are, and then you can play the game of life into whatever life theme you want to add into it with much more fun. If that's your theme, that's mine. I wish to play with fun. I wish to engage with other beings for now. Let's see what the version of Nicky in a year wants to do. But whatever it is that you want to create in your hologram, after you come from that point of awareness of being all that is and walking in the line and transcending to the absolute infinity of being like, if I am all that is, there should be something that is creating the I am all that is. Because if I am God consciousness, then what is behind me? So then is when you see that when you're in that line, in that black line, and then you walk a little bit to the other side, and then you kind of like turn yourself around, and you kind of like stay in the line because it feels so delicious and peaceful, and then walk a little bit to the side, and then you are in absolute infinity. And why is it amazing for you to get into those states of realizations? And I'm going to make meditations on them so you can more anchor yourself into those points of consciousness, if that's what you wish. That's what you wish because you're here, right? So when you come back, it doesn't mean that you don't identify with other beings. For sure, you will be more in that space than in your physical reality, but that's awesome because you can see even through your own distortions. You can see through other beings' distortions. You can arrange the dynamics of everybody in the room, because with that point of consciousness, you can see that nothing is really real and everybody is just sharing their own programs. And if they don't have programs, then they are sharing whatever they want to project and create, and then you can override that because you know that it's all like a huge hallucination of consciousness. So when I receive questions like, so what am I going to do when I'm exactly in that line and I don't know if I want to completely release the identity of I am all that is, then be certain and know that what you're going to gain is just so much more peace, clarity, and understanding of your true self with upper S. And from that point of being nothingness and everything at the same time, everything on earth feels so light, feels really playful, feels like a dream-like type of life. And that's great, because then there's no pain, there's no fear, there is no illusion. And whenever something like that pops into your hologram, then you are like, whoa, I am all that is, and I am nothingness. Why am I creating this experience? And then, am I willing to transcend it? Thank you. And then it's like, you release that, and there's going to reach a point in which you don't even need to use these tools and permission slips, because you are so anchored in the realization of I am all that is, I am God consciousness, and then I am nothingness, and I am the absolute, I am the void, I am infinity that can create and then not create itself, to repeat the whole process, that nothing that happens here will have importance, and you are going to be, you're gonna get over yourself, your smaller self with lower s, because you're gonna be like, I'm not that. And whenever you see a thought coming into your mind that represents doubt or fear or not good enough or what somebody else is gonna think of me, it's gonna be like, why am I creating an experience of what somebody else is going to think of me? If I am God consciousness, I can just create an experience of how confident I am in being God consciousness, from a place of humbleness and from a place of compassion and love and understanding and integrity of what you want to place into other beings. But whenever you have these realizations of self, you have to be above integrity to have them. So I'm sure that you use it with caution and for the highest good of all involved. So we went into this area because I was there, so I was like, this is what I need to say right now. But let's take it down a notch and go from the beginning into your pain, pleasure, body experiencer. Okay, so this is how I experience the levels of conscious awareness from a level of identification with a symbol into a state of being. And it's just different from what I have explained within the David R. Hawkins scale of consciousness, because that focuses more on the emotion and the log scale and how you feel or not feel, the emotions. Here I'm going to share a little bit about that, but it's more about you having the separation in your mind, so you know whenever you get triggered or you get into a situation that you created and placed there as a catalyst for your own transformation, you can be like, and use this chart and be like, okay, I am not the experiencer, I am not the mind, the subtler body, I am not the witness, the mind or the observer, I am not the witness, I am all that is. And then you can go like, I am all that is, and even after that, I am absolute infinity, pure nothingness, resting awareness. So then when you rest into this realization more and more and more, nothing that happens to you would actually matter. That's how you can completely embody. Nothing means anything, words don't mean anything, thoughts don't mean anything. Whatever you're doing only means the meaning you want to attach to it, and it becomes really fun, because that means that whatever you wish to do, you just create a new desire as God consciousness, you attach the meaning you want to have it, and then you play with it. And the faster you create, the faster you manifest, the faster you release, and the more you allow yourself to be in your highest self. This one here, absolute infinity, void, more and more. So let's give you some examples of what would the experiencer feel, what would the observer feel, what would the witness feel, the all that is, and then the non-feeling of the absolute. Just a little bit of water. So let's think about an example. Okay, this is the experiencer. That means it's your physical vessel. Let's think in terms of, you receive a message that you, one of your biggest clients, you're a business and you have a client that is supporting your whole business, because let's say that they pay you $20,000 a month, so like that's like your big client, and then you receive a message that they're dropping you because of quarantine. Example, the physical body, the experiencer, can feel pain or pleasure. With that message, the first response will be of pain, and instantly the physical body goes into the second body, which is a subtler body, but still it can be a distortion and illusion. It comes with the observer. So the observer, the mind, start creating thoughts of what am I going to do, or How am I going to sign another big client? How am I going to pay my house? How am I going to eat? Blah, 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 etc. So you use that catalyst or situation, and you can place anything there. Something about a girlfriend, a boyfriend, anything. Something about your physical appearance, anything that can cause to you pain or pleasure. In this case, we're referring to pain because we're going to learn how to transcend it from these points of awareness. Then you become the mind. But if you identify a lot with the experiencer, that it would be the physical body, instantly when you receive that message, you would get and receive pain because of the feeling of loss and the thoughts that the mind is generating. But because you think you're the experiencer, you're going to feel a lot of pain. You can feel trapped. You can feel limited. What am I going to do? What happens now? And then from that point of awareness, it's really disempowering because then you may just want to get depressed, be in bed, not do anything. How am I going to survive? How am I going to eat, etc.? And then it's like you disempower yourself, you lower your vitality, you lower your energy, and you are creating that being all that is, but just shrinking yourself in a limitation of being the experiencer. So now that's the first body. The second body, the subtler body, would be the observer. When you have the realization that you are not your body, and you can come and observe your thoughts. So instead of instantly reacting to the thought of what am I going to do if I lose this big client, then you go to your mind and you are, okay, I'm the observer. I am not my thoughts. Okay, and then you can be more rational. And you can be like, okay, if this client leaves, it's fine because I can create a new strategy, I can provide more value, I can sign another client, I'm going to be fine. And you learn how to control your thoughts, which is better and it's even more empowering, but it's it's a bit empowering. The other one is not empowering at all, but it still takes a lot of mentalization and conceptualization to process the thought, release the experience. This is where a lot of permission slips and symbols work, like the exercises of thank you so much for this contraction and this emotion. Am I willing to transcend that? Yes. Now you change that thought pattern with I am going to create more value to have new clients and I'm always receiving what I need, etc. So this is where these affirmations and mantras taking place when you identify more with your observer. So this is a better place to be than in the experiencer because at least there is opportunity for change and conceptualization. But when you get into these states of non-beingness and consciousness, you don't need to use those mentalizations and those tools and those symbols because instantly, whenever you get a thought that may have produced a distortion or a contraction at the beginning, you're gonna go like, and it's gonna go here. And in the nothingness and absolute of infinity, nothing matters. So instantly you can override it without any tool. So okay, you're here in the observer. Then you can come into the witness. The witness is formless. It's the first glimpse of, it's even more subtler, it's the first glimpse of unconditional love, of joy or ecstasy, of being pure energy form. When I go from the observer to the witness is when I realize if I'm observing my thought, I'm not my body because something, it's observing my thoughts. Okay, you're into the observer. Then you're in the observer and you are like, okay, if I'm observing my thoughts, then what is observing the observer? There must be something that is having the experience of creating the observer for able to the observer to take place into this hallucination of consciousness. Probably you won't use that term when you are moving into that subtler body, but that is creating that experience. So then you realize that you're not even your mind, you're not the observer, you're the witness of the observer. And how I relate to the witness of the observer is kind of like being on space. That's why you see all my things and my photos. It's like being on space and spaceships, and these are all symbols, but it takes me into the state of being witness. And when I'm the witness, then I'm pure energy form. Like I'm not in my body, I'm not in my thoughts, I'm not in my mind, I'm just pure energy. I kind of get out of body and I can see myself traveling the galaxies and just being and seeing everything, not even only from the roof. As a metaphor example, when you are the observer, you can see everything from the roof. When you are the witness, you can see everything from space. And from that point of awareness, you receive a message, an email that a $20,000 client's dropping you, and you won't freak out because you know that you're not your body, you are not the observer, and at that point you are the witness. So you can witness everything from that point of awareness by laughing about it, by knowing that something it's coming on its way, and knowing that you created that experience. And it's just fun. And actually, at the point of the witness, that experience doesn't happen because you're so aligned with the first glimpse of nothingness, the first glimpse of joy, that's how I describe being in orgasmic energy, being in pleasure the whole day. I started receiving your kundalini energies. When that happens, things like that doesn't happen, or if that happens, it means because you're placing new holograms with even bigger blessings into your hologram of reality. So there's not much mentalization that has to take place. There's less concepts, there is less tools, there is less I have to transcend this emotion through writing down stuff and doing affirmations. It's more like a complete view and understanding of how everything is just happening from your own point of focus awareness whenever it happens, and how it is a parallel reality that you can override with a different screen, different projection slide in the screen of your movie of consciousness or movie of life. So that's when you start grasping more the idea of the parallel realities, of timelines, of being timeless, or being everywhere and nowhere at the same time by location. From the witness, you can go through all your simultaneous lifetimes, past, present, future. Reality, you know you can create, and on the realities, you know you can create new timelines of existence, and you can let go of a past that didn't serve you, and then you're going to stop identifying so much. You lose completely identification with the physical body. So whenever you see yourself in the linear time of 6 months from now, you're going to be like, who's that person? Because you were never the person, you were never the physical body, you were just the consciousness behind it. So you were the observer, and then you became aware of the witness, and the witness is a more and more subtler, delicious place to be because of how formless it is, how timeless it is. You live more in the now moment. Your heart is completely open because from this point of being everywhere at the same time, there's less fear, there's less reaction, there is more understanding, there's more giving service to others, because you know that whatever you're creating creates a ripple effect that comes back to you because it's quantum. So you start living more in the quantum, and it's delicious. So from that point of the witness, there comes a point where you're like, okay, if I'm the witness, that can be even traveling to the multiverses and going through other planets. You can play in the astrals a lot, being the witness. But I always suggest not getting lost in the astrals, because it's really fun to play with ETs and other higher beings and their technologies, etc. But if there's a subtler path into self-realization, enlightenment, that if you can get lost in lifetimes in the witness and in the astrals, you can enjoy that. If you have the intentions and the desire and devotion for enlightenment and self-realization that I have, then you would enjoy that. You will take what serves you, and with your goal and your allowance, that is complete enlightenment and infinite peace, then you will just transcend the witness, and be like, if I'm the witness and I'm energy form and I'm in the quantum, what is experiencing the witness? And then you go to all that is. And then you realize your God consciousness. And this is here, the complete serpent here. I just figured this as the Kundalini just being one. These are all symbols, but for you to relate to what I'm getting to you. And this one is more of like you merge the energy body, the freedom, the first glimpse of nothingness, with the realization that if you are that nothingness, if you are that energy form, who created that energy form? So you are... I am God consciousness. I created that energy form. I created the space. I created all the planets, all the galaxies, all the civilizations, all the future, past, present lifetimes of all the beings. And then is when you truly get the realization that all is one, the one particle, and you truly, you don't only understand it, but you become it. And anytime that a message like that, let's go back to our example, that you're going to lose a $20,000 client comes, it's just, doesn't even matter. It's just like, whew, because you're all that is. And how you created that, you know for sure that you can create another one like that tomorrow. From that point of awareness, from that point of realization. And even from that point of awareness, you get even bored of your creations faster, because you become such a powerful creator and you manifest so fast, and you see your manifestations so easily into your 3D reality. You're going to be like, oh, I don't want that anymore. Let's create something else. And it becomes more fun, more peaceful, That's the realizations of creation and empowerment from being all that is God consciousness. But from the point of how does it feel, I will describe it as, instead of just being pleasure and unconditional love that you feel in the first glimpse of nothingness or the witness, in all that is you release that pleasure and you replace it with peace. So it's a different kind of pleasure, but instead of orgasmic energy, it's more like if you're in an infinite climax. It's so funny how I describe things, how I feel it. You're in an infinite climax, but it's just so subtle, so it stretches like this, and like the line never ends, and you can stretch it however you want, and it's like a never-ending climax. So whenever you want to reach that point of awareness and infinite peace, you just go back from the realization of, you can do the exercise step by step. I'm not the physical body, pain, pleasure body. I'm not the distortions, illusions, or even the clarity of the observer. I am not the witness, because if I am my energy body and I am the first glimpse of nothingness and multidimensionality and the quantum and the astrals, then who is creating that? And then you're like, oh, I'm all that is. So you do that exercise, and from the point of I'm all that is, you don't need any tools to transcend the emotions, because from that point of awareness, it's like you just like, it's like a switch of light, and a light bulb just opens in the door of your brain, in your third eye, and you're like, whoop, I know now, whoop, I understand now. And then then imagine this, I don't know why I get the word of Tootsie Roll, I don't even know what that is, but I get that word. And then you can just like stretch it and stretch it and stretch it and stretch it, and with every stretch, it's like if you get it's still delicious, but it's an infinite peace, and you can stretch it and stretch it and stretch it, and you can rest there, and time stops, and you can see the why behind everything. And then the why doesn't matter, because it doesn't have any meaning, because you stop identifying with your stories, and the traumas disappear, the inner child traumas or any limiting belief, everything disappears. There's no fear, because you can see clearly why you created that, why you decided to come back and to place that catalyst, to place that person, that being, to trigger you, to create that relationship with your parents in that timeline. You can see even from the witness that you're not in that timeline, and you're in a higher timeline, and you can create new realities. But from the all that is, it's like, you know that you are the creator of all the timelines, all the galaxies, all the universes, the huge Tootsie Roll that never ends and expands and expands and expands and expands, and nothing matters, and there's nothing to fear. And why these realizations are powerful, because when you rest in that space of awareness and then you come back to earth, you can do anything. But it's not only like you can do anything, it's like, you know, your God consciousness. So all fear disappear, all distortion disappear, all illusion disappear, all trauma disappears, and it's just pure unconditional love, bliss, infinite peace. And you can see the one infinite creator in every being you encounter. Every being I talk to in my sessions, every time I reply to one of your comments, I can see the one infinite creator in your eyes and in your heart, and I just love you, because I know you are it. So if you wish, I want to allow that realization for you, not just because of it's not about what I'm saying, it's how it feels, and the deliciousness of the peace, and how much that influences not only how you go about your life theme and your movie and what you create, but how you relate to the other aspects of yourself, and how life becomes a playground of pure dreamlike. Everybody's beautiful, you're in love with everybody, every woman's pretty, every man's gorgeous, everybody has a beautiful inner child, the streets are full with light. It's like if everybody was in a movie of La 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 Land dancing, even if they're just sitting down. I can see unicorns in the sky, I can see rainbows, and all of that just from that point of awareness that I'm God consciousness. And everything that I can think of, I see it instantly in my third eye, and I place it into the reality, and that's how I see it. And that's where I go from the teachings of you can always experience only your preference. And when you anchor more of these realizations, of these states of consciousness, then you can place your point of preference, the God consciousness, all that is, into anything that you're doing, into the interactions that you have. Even if you want to have that realization and then keep doing business, how you're going to treat your clients. You can even have more clients. You can have even more fun with your family. Not from the point of, and this is a question I get a lot, like, oh, that means I am alone in the universe and I'm all that is and I'm projecting everybody in my reality, so it's all a hologram. How lonely. No, to the contrary. When you're all that is, you release all separation. All is one, and you feel complete union and communion with the other being. And then it's like, if you're always like this, you are making love with the whole universe by just being, because you know that you are the whole universe, from a point of integrity, from a point of giving from your heart, from a point of understanding that even if one aspect of yourself that doesn't have this realization yet has a distortion and plays out a trigger into your hologram, you will see it with eyes of unconditional love and understanding, because you know that that's the aspect of yourself that wanted to experience that point of awareness. Because it would be boring if you were always at the beach. Wouldn't you want to go to the snow after being a year in the beach? So you wanted to create all this hallucination of consciousness to have fun. In my life theme is to have fun. In your life theme, you can choose whatever you wish. If you want your life theme to be more classy, if you want it to be more of adrenaline, whatever you wish, you can place into your life theme. And with this realization of God consciousness, you transmute things like this. You create in your life like this, and you live in a constant state of infinite peace, joy, and pleasure. Whew. And then there is a state after that, but I need some water for it. So, from the subtler body of being all that is, let's recap. You're not your body, the physical or pleasurable body, because then you can become addicted to pleasure and you start running from pain, and then you're stuck in the physical body. So, you're not the pain and pleasure body. You're not the experiencer. You are not the observer, even when you have clarity or distortion, because then you would identify with duality, clarity or distortion. You are not the observer. You are not the witness, because even through being energy form and being even more free and being multidimensional and being everywhere and nowhere at the same time, you get to realize that there must be something or someone that is creating all this hallucination of consciousness. And then you go to the God consciousness, all that is. Then from that point, it's fun and bliss and peace and games. From all that is, and the realization of there's nobody outside of you, everybody's an aspect of yourself, you're playing, you are creating, you're learning, you're evolving, and you are choosing this reality because it served your evolution. And whenever you wish, you can just exit, and there's no fear of death, because that doesn't exist. It's just a complete, the cycle repeats, and then you go back to the absolute infinity, and then go back, and then go back, or you stay there if you wish to stay there and there's nothing else to learn and you want to stay in absolute infinity and peace. So without that fear of death, then there's nothing to fear, and then you're completely free. Freedom. So when you are in all that is, there comes a point in which, how I see it, and that's how I started the video, kind of those movies that start with the end and then you see like how it goes and to the beginning. That's what it is. Now I get it. There's a line, there's a black line, not the Tootsie Roll, that was the all that is expanding. It was a black line, and then you're there, and that's how I see myself, and I'm resting in that line, and I'm like chilling there as if it was like a beach, just chilling there, like absorbing all the energy like from this infinite black hole that gives me that realization and comes through my crown, and it's like and then repeats, and then there comes a point where all that creation, all that beingness, all that expanding and giving and creating and playing becomes even dense, and it's like, wait, if I'm all that is, there should be something it's even more subtler and even more formless. And then you're in that black line and you start walking towards, like, if the black line's here, this is all the universes, all the planets, all the galaxies, all creation, and here is the nothingness, absolute void, pure conscious awareness, and you're here resting in the black line. And I'm going to do a meditation so you can experience it through that, not only the concepts but the true experience. And then you start walking towards here, and every step it's like because it's so infinite. It's so, when you're there, you cannot even function in the world, because the amount of energy you get, you don't need to eat, you don't need to drink, you don't need to go to the bathroom, nothing, because it's just the energy itself overrides your body, and then it's just like complete illumination, self-realization. So how I see it is absolute infinity, doesn't even have a symbol, it's just blank, pure nothingness. And instead of being peace, all that is, instead of being freedom, first glimpse of nothingness and unconditional love and pleasure, it's just resting awareness. Instead of peace, I call it infinite peace, because the more you anchor yourself there, it's just infinite, it never ends, it's just foreverness, nothingness, everything. Well, everything is more here. And then it's absolute. So from that pure resting awareness, you can see that there is where even the first glimpse of creation, love, light, awareness, and then it created love and light created the God consciousness. Remember the first example, losing a client for $20,000? When you are in this point of infinite absolute, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because what you feel or not feel, and what you experience in that amount of joy and realization of your higher self with upper S, even the one beyond God consciousness, where I channel all my information, you can create and place anything in your reality. But there you're not even creating, you're just resting. You're resting because you know that whenever you want, you can come back to God consciousness and create. But whenever you're done creating and you just want to experience absolute infinity, pure nothingness, not the first glimpse, pure nothingness, you can just, I just feel it when I say it, you can just rest there. And that's what I do when I just look outside into my balcony, and just because all of these states of consciousness and awareness are inside of you in the quantum field of your it consciousness, so you have access to them if you wish to go there and anchor that there more and more and more. And then it's just like you can just stare at that nothingness with that glimpse of, it's indescribable, with that glimpse, I'll say, of that infinity. And you can stay there for hours, for days, but in my experience or non-experience, it has been no longer than probably 2 hours, because then I want to come back to my God consciousness, and I wish to create, and I wish to do these videos, and I wish to teach, and I wish to learn, and I wish to you learn while you teach, and I wish to anchor all these realizations in ways that I can decompress them in ways that it can be digestible and understandable, and for the person and the being that really wishes to experience these states of non-beingness. So in my journey of ascension, I want to anchor myself more in that absolute infinity void. But whenever I am there, instantly I'm like, I get so much ideas, so many things that I want to create and share and do, that I'm like, okay, go back. So it's like I jump into the rabbit hole again, into like the huge black hole, and I'm like, back to earth. Let's see how we're going to integrate this, how we're going to give this, and then go back into that absolute infinity and rest in relaxation. So how you can allow these states of being, meditation always works. In the linear time, I did meditation for probably 3 years straight, every day, minimum 1 hour. I'm not saying that's the only way to allow these states of consciousness. Of course, I did a lot of more. You can see in my timelines video and in David R. Hawkins' Raising Levels of Consciousness, because I'm devoted to this. This is the only thing that matters to me. The only thing I want to give meaning to, see? The only thing, nothing means anything, only the meaning you want to attach to it. And that's why I'm sharing it with you. So, devotion. So you can practice this through meditations, and I'm going to create many meditations in which I can take the being from the experiencer to the observer, to the witness, to the all that is I am God consciousness, to even the absolute infinity void resting awareness. And the more you allow yourself to experience these states of being, and every catalyst that it's in your reality right now, as the first example in which you can place whichever catalyst or situation or expansion you're going through at the moment, because it's not a conflict, it's not a problem, it's an expansion and an opportunity for you to transcend and allow higher states of being. When you wish to see this from this point of awareness, you can use the tools I give as well, the tools that you can find, and do it through mentalization, conceptualization. But this is the subtler state, is a straight and narrow path to that self-realization, enlightenment. And through that realization, then everything is easier to deconstruct, because there is no meaning behind things. But I'll get to that, and it's 40 minutes, so we'll stop here. This was a complete inspiration. Wasn't planning to do this video today, but because it came true after that resting in that void for for some time. Well, you can ask me questions about this on the live Q&A that I'm going to have on Monday at 5:55 GMT-5. You can just post them in the comments if you have any questions about self-realization, all the bodies of consciousness or the points of awareness of consciousness. It can be this, using this chart from the experiencer to the awareness beyond the I absolute, or you can ask me questions in relation to the timelines or to David R. Hawkins' scale of consciousness, because it's really interesting that you can relate these realizations and points of consciousness into many different symbols, many different tools, many different ways. However you feel it's more understandable and what you resonate with, right? It needs to resonate. So thank you so much for your presence in my page. Thank you so much for all your loving messages. It fills me with joy, my heart, my soul. I just want to give it back to you, and I'm going to keep giving it back to you through meditations, through videos, through sharing my truth, to sharing my journey, to sharing all my realizations, and just being myself, by myself, my highest self, upper S. So I'll take a deep breath, 'cause it's just like too much. You can take it with me. And I'll see you in my next video. Sending you all my love.